The year is 2014 and the Naruto manga is racing to the climax of the final arc for the series. I remember reading these sets of chapters week to week and there was a considerable amount of hype for this specific act of the story. Madara had been fully revived, Naruto and Sasuke were presumed dead, and Might Guy had entered the 8 gates to fight Sage of Six Paths Madara. The story was keeping its readers hooked, and for the most part it was considered as some of the most exhilarating back-to-back chapters to read every single week. Until chapter 670 drops. The chapter begins with Naruto waking up in an unfamiliar area, only to then realize he's not alone. This becomes Naruto's first ever encounter with the Sage of Six Paths, who has a lot of lore he wishes to share. The information we receive dramatically expands the history of this story as we know it, especially when it comes to the Sage's sons, Ashura and Indra. This is the moment where it's revealed that his son Ashura has reincarnated into Naruto. When this chapter released, to say the fan reaction was mixed is putting it lightly, because of one big reason. People believe that this reveal throws all of Naruto's previous and future achievements into the gutter, since he's apparently the reincarnated son of the most powerful character ever. Naruto's incredible potential we've seen him master throughout the series was now being looked at with a devious side eye. Instead, it was all part of God's plan, so to speak. Naruto was now seen as the biggest hypocrite ever because he himself was part of Destiny's blueprint. He was the lucky one to be gifted such a successful path. The problem is, this is wrong. All of this is wrong. This single reveal has caused an enormous amount of misinformation and just in general a really shocking lack of reading comprehension. It resulted in this story forever being tainted as a series that betrays its themes and just becomes one giant retcon to raise Naruto and Sasuke's power levels and importance. And you know what, this video isn't here to convince you why you should like this plot point. I'm sure there are many who understand the direction Kishimoto took that still don't like it, and that's completely fine. However, if your base of frustration is built around the numerous misconceptions surrounding this reveal, then maybe it's time we have another look at the story to see what the actual message here is that Kishimoto was originally trying to convey. But quickly, before we dive into things, if you do happen to enjoy what I talk about today, then please do hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell and give the video a like. Only takes a second and it helps me out a lot. And with that being said, there's no better place to start things off than what was Naruto's destiny? Naruto's destiny is actually pretty straightforward to understand, yet it still somehow caused an enormous amount of misinformation and disingenuous takes on the matter. And I believe this all stems from Naruto having a destiny to begin with. When people generally think about main characters being connected to destiny, it's automatically branded as something positive. They are the one who will create a great change, bring peace to the world, be the hero everyone needs. Because of this, people's perspectives get a bit tainted when they hear the word destiny be involved in an underdog story like Naruto. It makes it seem like Naruto was just following a path that was pre-made for him and only him, increasing his privilege value compared to the other characters. However, there's one big problem with this way of thinking. Naruto's destiny is bad. Going back to when Naruto meets the Sage of Six Paths for the first time, Naruto is informed about a cycle of never-ending battles that have continued throughout the ages that were spawned by the Sage's sons, as Naruto is next in line to continue this fight due to being the reincarnation of Ashura. To put it simply, Naruto and as well as Sasuke were destined to fight where one of them would be killed. There would be no resolution, just like what we saw with Madara and Hashirama, who were the previous reincarnations. Therefore, Naruto would be playing straight into the hands of his destiny by continuing this cycle of conflict onto the next generation. Naruto's destiny is a curse more than anything else. Nothing about it in the slightest is positive whatsoever. Naruto could even sense the presence of Indra and Ashura's chakra within himself and Sasuke back at the 5 Kage summit, as he likens it to being possessed by a ghost, which isn't exactly a comforting nor positive attribute to carry around with you. And while we're on the topic of the 5 Kage summit, this is actually the point where Naruto and Sasuke's destinies begin to get thoroughly discussed, as many believe the decision for Destiny to be heavily involved was towards the tail end of the final arc. Or if you want to go back even further, Kakashi's words at the final valley after Naruto and Sasuke's fight heavily hints towards this destined conflict, describing the river as an indication that the battle will never cease to exist, and that as long as Naruto and Sasuke live, this cycle will continue. Its portrayal is clearly meant to be seen as something negative that Naruto and Sasuke have been forcibly wrapped up in, especially when we have a look at the 5 5 Kage Summit arc, as we receive more information where this root of conflict truly spawned from with Indra and Ashura. For Naruto, hearing all of this only creates a heavier burden upon his shoulders, as at this point you've got to keep in mind that throughout this arc, Naruto has been holding Nagato's words close to his chest with finding a way to stop the cycle of hatred, only to now be told from Madara, aka Obito of all people, that he's trapped in his own unique cycle of never-ending conflict with his best friend. For Naruto, this was the worst case scenario, as just after thinking he had put one step forward to confront hatred, he was now pushed 2 steps back. And even with this being said, many argued this plot twist strips Naruto of his identity. From having him been seen as an underdog in chapter 1 to then the reincarnation of God's son in chapter 670 is quite the stark contrast. Yet even Hagoromo points out just how untrue that is. To use his own example, despite Naruto being the son of the 4th Hokage who was one of the most skilled prodigies ever seen, Naruto didn't outright inherit a single thing from him apart from his looks. And even if we want to use Kushina as an example, due to Naruto being an Uzumaki, it allowed him to survive the Nine-Tails extraction where he was just about clinging on to life for a longer period of time compared to the other Jinchuriki. But compared that to Kushina, she was able to not only survive the immediate extraction, but she was fully conscious and able to use a powerful enough jutsu to restrain the full power of the Nine-Tails. This is an absolutely insane feat, all while Naruto faints immediately after the extraction. The point of this isn't just to show that Naruto isn't carried by his genes, but just because there's a link between you and someone else, it doesn't mean your own self-worth and I guess uniqueness is gone. While the sage does say Naruto's actions are similar to Ashura's, it doesn't diminish who Naruto is. Naruto's own actions is what caused such a similar comparison to be made. For example, if it was always set in stone for Naruto to be exactly like Ashura due to being trapped in this reincarnation cycle, then that must mean the previous reincarnations are the same, right? Well, we know that not to be true. Hashirama is the previous reincarnation before Naruto, yet he's a much different character than what's described from Ashura. Ashura was said to not be all that skillful when he was a child and he couldn't do anything on his own. He needed the support of others to help build up his own strength. But in Hashirama's case, he was always extremely gifted ever since he was a child. There never truly was a struggle for him in terms of power, unlike Ashura. He was referred to as the god of shinobi after all. And so because of these differences, it means Naruto's personality and actions are not influenced by this reincarnation. Otherwise, Hashirama would have been described the exact same. The only part of destiny that Naruto was chained to was continuing the cycle the brothers started. When the fated battle between Naruto and Sasuke arrives, the sage loses some hope that both these two are just another cog in destiny's wheel, as Hagoromo sharing his powers to both reincarnations didn't prevent a battle from occurring like he had hoped. But Naruto declares his stance on the matter immediately, replying that himself and Sasuke are not Ashura and Indra. No, the brothers' battle was going to end here once and for all. Naruto is completely aware of what destiny has in store for him, but he chooses to defy it. He's more than confident in the person he is, rather than allowing himself to be chained to the failings of his predecessors. Naruto Uzumaki is the one who carves his own ninja way. His willingness to endure and stay true to the path he made, along with the help of his comrades, allowed Naruto to save Sasuke in the end. A resolution had been found, and so the continuous chain of brotherly battles had come to a close, preventing it from continuing onto the following generations to come, something Madara and Hashirama were unable to do. Even if we just look at the statues in the final valley, both of them are showing the hand sign which represents the seal of confrontation, showcasing how they're forever stuck in eternal conflict. That is the legacy they left behind for future generations. The river flowing heavily between them symbolizes how there will always be something that prevents both from crossing over to one another and connecting, forever being on opposite sides, as well as the river representing the never-ending stream of constant violence, something Kakashi points out at the end of Naruto and Sasuke's fight as mentioned before. But when the statues are destroyed in the final fight, not only do the broken hands create the unison sign to signify the end to the destined cycle of conflict, but it also creates a bridge across the now much smaller stream of water through the unison sign, at last creating a path to properly connect both sides. This links all the way back to the very first arc of the series in the Land of Waves, where Naruto also took part in the completion of a bridge that was made through connections and persevering. This was rightfully named the Great Naruto Bridge, a bridge only Naruto could make. Naruto and Sasuke had broken free from the restraints of destiny, as Naruto was doing what he was always best known for since the very start of the series, choosing to preserve his bonds and fight for his own path, allowing himself to defy destiny and save his friend. The future was always in his hands. Yet even with this outcome, there are still people that believe Naruto was always a slave to destiny despite the words that leave his mouth saying otherwise. But exactly where did this talk about hypocrisy spawn from?
We are all given a destiny at birth, and it's pointless to fight against it.
All this destiny crap! Well, if you really believe it, why are you the one walking away?
Neji was right is one of the most idiotic takes I've ever had the displeasure of learning about. To this day, I still can't believe there are people who genuinely believe such an absurd statement. And keep in mind, this has been an ongoing debate ever since chapter 670 released all the way back in 2014. I was there to witness it all. The people who say this just do not understand the point of Neji's character, and especially the Naruto vs Neji fight. So to get us into the correct headspace, let's take a look at what Neji's ideology is for this battle. Due to Neji being part of a family where strict roles are given the moment you're born, it's led to him growing a bitter attitude when it comes to classes and how such titles stick with you all the way to your death. This is why Naruto's presence annoys Neji so much. At the start of the series, many of the characters see Naruto as a complete nobody. He's labelled as an outcast and a failure. So no matter how much Naruto is attempting to prove himself to escape such name tags, Neji sees it as simply pointless. People can't change no matter how hard they try. That is Neji's perspective on the world, a battle that can never be won. Yet despite him saying this, in the very first fight we see Neji undergo against Hinata, he already gets proven to be a hypocrite. Since Neji is part of the Hyuga clan's branch family, his role was set to protect the main house, which would be Hinata. Yet throughout this fight, Neji was brutally beating Hinata down. He not only breaks her down physically, but mentally too. Neji purposefully makes her suffer and even attempts to end her life when Hinata calls him out for being the one who's truly suffering. Seeing Hinata trying to change herself right in front of him just continues to fill Neji with pure annoyance, especially when he understands that the source of this strength was coming from another failure. Hinata and Naruto are pushing back on the labels society has given them, but so is Neji. He's actively fighting against his own destiny without even realizing it. He had already proven himself wrong, but just like most characters in this series, it's challenging for them to realize their own wrongdoings without someone else making them aware of it. And for this instance, Naruto would be that wake-up call. A common misconception that gets brought up for the Naruto vs Neji fight is that Naruto dismisses the existence of destiny to begin with. That isn't true. Naruto fully understands the concept of destiny. What he disagrees with, however, is that it's not the deciding factor for how you live your life. If you don't like what's been handed to you, then it's your duty to change it and make it your own. For example, Naruto's fate was apparently set in stone the moment he was born, where he would be branded as an outcast due to the Nine Tails being sealed within him. Yet throughout the story, we've clearly seen him defy such an outcome through making comrades and not resigning himself completely to the hatred of the Nine Tails, but instead channeling that curse into his very own blessing through his hard work. That's what annoys Naruto so much regarding Neji's ideology, as he's not only forcing Naruto to stick to a path he doesn't want to be on, but he knows this is something Neji doesn't fully believe in either. His bitterness and resentment towards his upbringing is what caused his mind to get clouded with such a toxic and petty absurd mindset that he doesn't understand how hypocritical he is. Naruto even points this out by saying if he truly believes that all paths are inescapable, then just stop fighting it already, since that's all Neji has been doing from the very start. By Neji proclaiming that destiny is always a fixed path, he's already fighting a losing battle. Because think about it, out of all of the destinies that are said to be in this story, all it takes is one destiny to be changed to completely break Neji's argument and show that everyone has free will, and that had already been done in his first fight against Hinata. This losing streak continues into his battle against Naruto, where he says it's Naruto's fate to lose to him. For Naruto, he had to win this conflict, not just to prove that he wasn't a failure, but to also prove to Neji that he's not locked into any predetermined path. And that's exactly what he did. Neji was never right, and Neji himself even acknowledges this through his own actions later shown in his fight against Kidomaru. Fate isn't isn't something for you to decide. That is the way not only Naruto decided to live his life, but so did Neji. And many point out how the story ends up proving itself wrong later down the road when Neji sacrifices himself to protect Naruto and Hinata. Because after all, isn't it Neji's destiny to protect the main house? My first rebuttal to this is that the reason why Neji sacrificed himself was initially for Naruto, as he stated moments ago that he, as well as Hinata, will protect him. The Nine Tails even solidifies this by comparing the sacrifice to Minato and Kushina, showing that the intention was for Neji to give up his life for Naruto. For my second point on how this decision by Neji was made without any kind of destiny being involved, as I mentioned before, all it takes is one destiny to be changed to prove that people do have their own free will to dictate their own fate. It proves destiny is not holding anyone hostage, as it's the actions an individual takes that are always the leading factor for the path you create. This is even shown through the flashback regarding Neji's father, as he states he was not murdered to protect the main branch, but rather this was a decision he chose of his own accord to protect those he cared for. And for Neji, the teachings of free will had been passed on from his father to him, choosing to shield the lives of those he cherishes. Because at the end of the day, this was who Neji was, a boy who was called a genius. Naruto had set Neji free from his words and actions back in their fight, and when Naruto gets informed regarding the cycle of battles he's now a major player in, it was now time for him once again to set himself free from these shackles the world continues to chain him with. Because of this final destiny that gets revealed very late into the story, it's led to people believing that Naruto was letting destiny take control of his path until it reached a point he disagreed with, therefore making Naruto a hypocrite because he allows destiny to determine his path. People tend to be very disingenuous with this argument, as they're basically saying Naruto could have just sat on his ass for the entirety of the series and he still would have made the same connections and won the same battles, because his destiny is what carried him to the finish line. It's such a ridiculous argument and only reaffirms why people who say these things not only just do not understand this story, but also how the concept of destiny works to begin with. Destiny was never hand-holding Naruto. He's got to the position he's in because that's the path he made for himself, to work hard and endure for the sake of others. This has been what's led Naruto down a more successful path compared to others in this story, as his actions were much different than the rest, which leads to a great change in the shinobi world. Destiny has become such a convoluted topic to discuss when in reality it shouldn't be that hard to follow. A reason for it getting messy, however, isn't just due to the whole Neji is right argument, but also because of the prophecies. What needs to be said is that there's a big misconception out there that the Toad Sage and Sage of Six Paths fortune telling are connected. No, this is wrong. Destiny and prophecies are not the same thing. Prophecies are merely a prediction. This means that prophecies are dictated by the actions an individual makes right off the bat. For example, the Toad Sage mentions Naruto will fight someone whose powers lay within their eyes, that being Sasuke. People say that this is an example of Naruto following the path that has been handed to him, and therefore Naruto is a hypocrite. However, people forget that this prophecy only came to be because Naruto himself is the one who made this prophecy become a thing. Quite literally, only a few chapters ago in the 5 Kage Summit arc, Naruto declares that he will be the one to fight Sasuke. It has to be him and only him. And now upon meeting the Toad Sage, it has become a prophecy because of Naruto's choices, further demonstrating that Naruto is in complete control of the path he's taken. It's proof that the Toad Sage is not the one in charge here, as they're merely premonitions. I mean, if the Toad Sage really was all-knowing as people make him out to be, why would he say part of Nagato's prophecy would bring either peace or destruction? Why don't we have a solid direction for that? Even at the end of the Pain arc, the Toad Sage admits that he didn't expect there would be 2 children of prophecies. Also, to further solidify why these prophecies are based on the individual's actions first, Naruto clearly wasn't the only candidate for the position of the child of prophecy. Jiraiya was the one who was told he would find this individual and guide them to revolutionize the world, and his choices were Minato, Nagato, and Naruto. Which again, just shows the Toad Sage did not know at the time who the child of prophecy would be because it's all based on a person's actions. The story even spells it out for us in Jiraiya's final moments, and I quote, "I'm not going to give up. That was the true choice I was supposed to make. It all comes back to choices. You're not born the child of prophecy. You find your own path to become it." And Naruto was exactly that person to hit those conditions. So, in conclusion, the topic of destiny should not be as big of a problem as others make it out to be. Like I said at the start of the video, it's your choice to decide whether you like this plot reveal or not. The main point of this video is simply to show that the writing does not contradict itself in any way, especially when it comes to the main character himself, Naruto. From beginning to end, his character stayed true to its original purpose. Just like the countless obstacles he's had to overcome through his journey, being connected to a bad destiny was just another hurdle to clear. Through doing so, Naruto broke what was thought to be an indestructible chain of conflict that had prevailed through generation to generation. But it all stopped here. This cycle of never-ending violence had come to an end, because that's what Naruto had always been known for. From Zabuza to Gaara to Nagato to Obito and then to Sasuke. This power Naruto has clearly wasn't gifted from a cursed destiny where conflict wouldn't cease. It was a power that he made his own. Naruto's greatest strength has always been what made Naruto, Naruto. And this was finding a resolution.